Hello and welcome to this edition of Press Conference. I'm your host, Jim DeLorenzo, the principal of Jim DeLorenzo Public Relations. You can find me online at jimdelorenzo.com. I have found that my career in public relations is my true vocation, telling the stories of my clients and colleagues in a compelling way to drive sales, membership, and awareness. I've been blessed in that career, and I've had many ideas that may be helpful to you. Please feel free to contact me directly, either by email at jim@jhdenterprises.com or by cell phone or text message at 215-266-5943. I can also be found on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and I would enjoy a conversation with you. In my career, I've had the good fortune to meet many interesting people: athletes, entrepreneurs, reporters, coaches, authors, executives, editors, entertainers, and innovators. My guest today is Adam Geisler, the Chief Executive Officer of Super Soccer Stars. Adam spent the first 10 years of his career at Everlast, the 118-year-old, $500 million global fitness and lifestyle brand, which may be familiar to you from boxing and other sports. Adam held positions in marketing, merchandising, and eventually president of business, where he led the brand's wholesale and licensing divisions globally to over $55 million in wholesale sales and $18 million in licensing income. Everlast was acquired in 2007 by the $3 billion retailer Sports Direct for $200 million, a 12 times plus multiple. Adam later went on to help lead the startup sports performance accessory company called Mission. While at Mission, he led strategy, merchandising, and sales to grow the business from $3 million to $50 million in wholesale in less than 5 years. Through strong retail relationships and merchandising experience, Adam's contributions turned Mission into one of the most disruptive sports accessory companies to hit the marketplace. He then went on to Authentic Brands Group, which is an intellectual property company with 32 brands generating over $8 billion in total retail sales. There, he was the global brand manager of their sports portfolio, including Prince, Spider, and Airwalk, which represented over $1 billion in retail sales. He eventually moved on to business development across the portfolio, driving new business as well as global retail development. In September of 2019, Adam led a group of private investors along with the private equity firm Valinor Private Capital Partners to acquire Super Soccer Stars and Amazing Athletes in a combined entity called Super Sports Stars Holdings. Adam is the CEO of Super Soccer Stars, which is the largest corporately run youth soccer business in the country. Since the acquisition, under Adam's direction, the company has doubled profitability, acquired 3 soccer businesses as part of a roll-up strategy, and increased their overall impact to over 110,000 children per year. His goal is to impact over 1 million children nationally through Super Soccer Stars classes, primarily focused on children ages 2 to 12. Adam, I really appreciate your time today, and I am very excited to hear more about what you're doing with Super Soccer Stars. I've come to know you a little bit in the last few months. You have had a company that has been very successful in creating camps and classes in physical locations in the past. And when I encountered you, it was right at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, and you had determined that you needed to make a switch, you had to make a pivot in order to keep the profitability up, keep the awareness up, keep the brand up. Tell me what you did to pivot Super Soccer Stars in the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, Jim, thank you for having me, first of all. And yeah, listen, this has been an amazing opportunity for myself personally, as I think about my career and the opportunity to really impact kids and have an impact on health and wellness more than anything within kids. And this business, Super Soccer Stars, has been around for 20 plus years. This is our 20 plus year anniversary. And we are so excited going into it. And, you know, we were hit with a ton of adversity like anybody else. You know, a lot of pain that everybody has seen, both financial and physical, and it's been a really, really challenging time. And, you know, in the face of adversity, you have to make a lot of decisions, and we certainly had our share of difficult decisions. And come COVID, the first priority was safety, right? So in March is when we usually go right into our spring season, and we had to stop our soccer classes because there was too much unknown. New York went into shelter in place, and we had to get a better understanding of what we were dealing with COVID. And our business went to zero. I mean, we were right in the middle of starting to enroll for spring, and people stopped enrolling. They wanted to unenroll from classes and just stop moving forward because nobody really knew what to do. And we were faced with that challenge like a lot of businesses. And at first we said, listen, let's just delay our season a little bit. You know, we can wait this thing out until we know more information. And then it became pretty apparent that nobody kind of knew the when things were going to start opening back up. And we said, listen, let's make our own future. Let's make our own determination of how we're going to address this. And we knew the number one priority for us is kids need to keep learning on the education side, and they need to keep progressing and learning on the physical education side. So we made incumbent upon ourselves to continue to provide that. So we said we are going to take our whole business, the physical piece of it, and we are going to make it virtual. And it's a big leap of faith for a parent and a customer to say, the reason I love soccer is because it's a vehicle for physical activity, and kids get out and they get out in the wild and they're running around and getting exercise. And here we're saying, okay, we want you to do the same, but do it in your living room.
Right.
Like, but Adam, I'm used to going outside. What am I going to do? We said, listen, give us 5 foot by 5 foot of space. And the next question you imagine, Jim, was, I don't have a soccer ball with cones. What do I do? And, we had to get very creative. And so we turned T-shirts into soccer ball if you didn't have soccer ball, with rubber bands and T-shirts, and you balled them up. If you didn't have cones like we would normally have, we said, go get water bottles. If you didn't have hot spots, go get paper plates. And if you don't have a soccer goal, take a cardboard box and make your goal box. So that's a lot of what we did to make the curriculum very mobile and very virtual. In the gym, we had 650 coaches pre-COVID out there servicing a business across the country.
Right.
Unfortunately, we didn't have business for them to work. So we had to let a lot of them go. And then as we moved to virtual classes, we were able to bring a lot of coaches back. And coaches were able to Zoom from their living rooms, and it was so amazing. These coaches allowed us into their rooms, and people allowed us into their homes.
Right.
What a great! We were able to impact kids virtually.
And that's a blessing when you think about it, because you guys adapted. You adapted to the marketplace, but you also adapted to the environment, and you were able to kind of reintegrate people into the program, both on the professional side, the coaches and the corporate company, as well as the educational side, the children themselves and their parents. They were able to re-engage with you without really having too much of a gap in that engagement.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a good point. And what was really important in the curriculum, we had a gentleman, Dean Simpson, who's been with us for over 14 years, is making that curriculum work over Zoom. So it's very different, right? Everything has to be within a zone. So within kind of a 5 by 5 zone, number one. Number two, it has to be a shortened curriculum. We can't keep these kids' attention the way that we can in the real world over virtual and over screen. And then what about the kid who, when you're in physical, is kind of not engaged or wanders off? How do you make sure that they're engaged? So, we really figure out a good system of having a head coach who's constantly focused on the curriculum, and then having a host coach who's constantly there to make sure that all the children are getting their spotlight and they feel inhibited by the camera. Let's make it more enticing for them and less invasive for them, and really focus on them and give them an opportunity to show us their skill. And we really reinvented our entire business over the course of 2 weeks, mind you.
Yeah.
Because we were running thousands of classes across the country. We reinvented in a short period of time. And we were fortunate to be able to do it because the parents love the brand, the kids love the sport, and we have the infrastructure and just an amazing group of coaches and people and individuals who knew if we don't get our kids moving, it's going to cause a longer-term problem. And if we can give them 30 minutes of happiness in this time of uncertainty and irregularity, we can give them that normalcy, then we've done a really good thing.
And it was interesting to me in some of our conversations, you had mentioned that initially some of the parents and some of your customers, some of the parents that were signing up for classes were disappointed that they weren't going to be able to do things in a classroom setting, and they were skeptical of what was going to be happening with Super Soccer Stars online. And what are some of the responses you got back after like 1 or 2 classes or 1 or 2 experiences?
It was really amazing. Listen, we got on the phone with thousands of customers and said, listen, this is a trying time. Just be with us. If you don't understand the business, you don't understand the virtual class, try one. I'm telling you, you're going to like it. And then sometimes they would try it and they didn't. They said, okay, just give us one. Let us move you to a different coach. Maybe the coach can give you a better experience. And we tried, and the responses were unbelievable. I would say 95% of people that we could convince to just give it a try, even though it wasn't what obviously we would want to give in the real world. We were dealing with the hand that we had, that we've been dealt, and the response rate was unbelievable. And it's so cool to watch kids who sometimes the parent or the caregiver isn't always there for the class.
Right.
And so for the first time they got to say, hey, look, Coach Michael's on TV, or Coach Khalil, look, they're on the screen. Dad, I want you to come see it. Or for the parents just sit there and watch their kid go through these experiences when they don't normally have the time, because we're working from home and it's just a different environment. So we were able to really turn people into believers. It was very, very impressive. And we appreciate what all of our customers did for us. We kept coaches engaged and we kept kids continuing to progress.
Now, that's really neat. And I think that, again, all of us kind of adapted to this Zoom reality that we're in now, this virtual connective. But I also like the idea of the host, the general coach, and then the host coach, because it's kind of giving that one-to-one interaction that you might not get if you're in a large group. And it kind of, as you said, it redefines your business model a little bit. I think one of the things that's always been interesting to me too is that at the beginning of the pandemic and the shelter in place in cities like New York and Philadelphia and Boston and other places on the East Coast, and now moved into the West Coast and the Midwest, there was the stay at home, there was the kids not going into classrooms, school systems didn't have the time to get the things up in place for the spring semester. Then you enter the summer camp season, which is a whole nother ball of wax, if you will, and a lot of outdoor activity that is not going to take place or has changed because of COVID-19. What was your response to the camp programs being moved online, if you will?
Yeah, listen, no different than all the process that we're all going through. Safety is number one. Safety was our number one concern. And, in New York, where our corporate headquarters, when we were founded 20 years ago, there were no summer camps that were going to happen. So we said we need to still give kids that opportunity to have a summer camp experience. And, again, we had to kind of reformat our curriculum and figure out a way that we can engage kids for multiple hours. And doing multiple hours of soccer, whether they're doing it indoors or they're able to go in their backyard or somewhere out in the wild doing it, it's still a long time to do it virtually. So what we said was, let's give them what we've done really over the last 2 years, is let's give them an enrichment experience, so sport plus enrichment. So we actually worked with a lot of local New York companies who are going through very similar challenging times with us, but they're these great businesses that have been around for a number of years. And we partnered with them to do soccer plus enrichment. So we do soccer for an hour or 45 minutes, we take a break, and then we work with Private Picasso's or Broadway Bees or Spark Art or Dribble Basketball and all these great companies to give kids this really integrated curriculum that mixes art, science, and sport, and iCamp as well, And so these partners were phenomenal. They were really, really great, and it allowed us to give a different type of curriculum to kids because parents are still working,
right,
and a lot of them having to work from home, and so we still need to give kids this virtual option. And so it's been working really, really well. And I think, two pieces to it. The curriculum is right, the concept's right, but then we're dealing with something that we're going to have going into the fall as behavior changes really come about. It's Zoom fatigue, right? The parents want the kids to, they want them off the computers because they're doing the computers for school and then they're doing it for social activities. And, they're not seeing as many kids, they're social distancing. And so I think we're dealing with this electronic fatigue, which is a really, really big deal. And I think what our point of view to the parents is, give us an opportunity to communicate and teach your kids. And this is a new way of learning. Don't look at this as screen time. This is our interactive time. And let us be the coaches, let us be the teachers. That's what we do. Be parents. Enjoy your kids. Let us do our part. So, in the summer, I think it's had a mixed bag. There's been parents who have been extremely responsive to it because they want their kids to be safe, and this is a way to give them curriculum. And there's other parents that are saying, you know what, it's too much screen time. I need to get them out. And so what we've really also done along those lines is we've said, okay, the safest way to do this then is don't come to us, we'll come to you. No different than we're coming to you live from the screen.
Right.
We've put coaches all over the country and gone to people's homes and backyards where we can do group training, camps, classes, whatever it may be, with known data points. Either their family or their friends in their social distance circle. Soccer, fortunately, is a very safe social distance sport. Right? We can keep distance. Our coaches are required to keep 6 feet away from the kid. They set up cones. They set up zones. So think about your living room is 5 by 5. We ask the kids to really roam around in 5 by 5 spaces to stay away from each other and keep themselves socially distanced. There's no touching the ball with their hands. The coaches are wearing their PPE equipment. And so that's a lot of what's starting to happen. So we're having a really good mix of virtual and physical. And we're able to continue to provide the product in a safe, secure manner to as many kids as we can get to.
Well, that's fascinating, and I'm awful glad to hear that about that expansion into the physical experiences. We need to take a quick commercial break here, and when we'll be right back with Adam Geisler of Super Soccer Stars to talk about what's coming up this fall and how to keep your kids active and engaged when the school year starts.
Choosing Medicare coverage can be a very confusing and complicated process. Help is just a phone call away, 856-226-4800. As a licensed insurance agent, I'll assist you in making an informed and confident decision on a Medicare plan that meets your needs, lifestyle, and budget. Call me today for a free, no obligation Medicare benefits consultation, 856-226-4800. 4800.
When did you see the sign?
When I needed to create a better visitor experience.
Improve our workflow.
Attract new customers. That's when Fast Signs recommended Fleet Graphics.
Yeah, now business is rolling in. Get started at fastsigns.com.
What do I want to be when I grow up? Maybe a musician? A veterinarian? Maybe an equestrian? A mommy? Well, why not be all these things and more? Consider joining me, Dr. V, with friends and colleagues as we explore a wide range of topics together. V is for variety, here on RVN TV.
Welcome back to Press Conference with Jim DeLorenzo. I'm Jim DeLorenzo, and my guest today is Adam Geisler, the CEO of Super Soccer Stars, and we've been talking about keeping your children active and engaged during the COVID-19 pandemic and the shelter-at-home situations that so many parents find themselves in with their schools being closed. And Adam, one of the things that we've talked about offline here has been how the school curriculums are starting to be announced. Openings or reopenings of schools are being announced now. Plans for the fall are coming about. And one of the things that we've noticed in our conversations is that there's going to be a lack of phys ed, of a phys ed component in the fall curriculum. And I think that's one of the areas where Super Soccer Stars and you can really help out parents who are glad to have their children back in school, or as far as being engaged, whether it be online or in classrooms. But talk to me, if you will, about the need for phys ed.
Yeah, no, listen, it's really important. Right now, we're constantly following the educational roadmap that's being set out there. And we're talking about this hybrid learning or mixed learning approach, where kids will be in school and they'll be off school in order to manage safety, contact tracing, and the likes. And so right now, schools are having to prepare for things they've never had to prepare for. Safety within the schools, virtual education on the mixed learning days, and so that needs to be their primary focus. So every minute of the day that they have is going to be about in-person learning. On the off days, they're going to be focused on virtual learning, but the one thing that's really going to get missed, by the way, it's okay to an extent, is physical education. When I say it's okay, it's incumbent upon companies like ourselves to help supplement and help figure that piece out. And so what we are really focused on is how do we provide that physical education that's going to be missed while the schools are focused on the education and safety aspect.
Okay.
So what we're really working for or looking at doing is called soccer pods. So essentially very similar concept as what the schools are going to do. We're going to take anywhere between 6 to 8 kids. We're going to keep them together. In the morning, they're going to come and see us. We're going to get them at 8:30, and we're going to get them moving for the first 30 minutes of the day. We're going to do our other business that we own, Amazing Athletes AM. We're going to get these kids moving, get their brains moving, get their bodies moving, because they've missed it. And we got to make sure that those habits can continue to go. Then we're going to give them brain breaks throughout the day while they study. So they're going to have different hours of the day where they can go on study breaks. And then we are going to find either 15 to hour-long sessions where we can actually give them physical activity. Sometimes it'll be multi-sport with our Amazing Athletes brand.
Okay.
Sometimes it'll be Super Soccer Stars with our Super Soccer Stars brand. Whatever we can do to get these kids moving on their alternative days, and also give kids a safe environment to learn, to get activity, and also give the parents opportunity because they need childcare right now.
Right.
And so that's what we're really going to be focused on. That's our mission and our responsibility within this part of it, is keep our kids active, keep them moving, because if you get into those behavior changes where kids stop getting used to the fact that they have to do physical activity, because they don't always know that they need it, we need to make sure they need it and why they need it, why it's so important, but we also know it's such a huge component of learning and education. That is our responsibility, and that's what we're going to focus on in the fall.
Now, how are you getting the word out to parents of children who are, again, very eager to get their kids back in the classrooms, whether it be virtually or physically? How are you getting the word out about the need to keep them physically active?
Yeah, I mean, listen, until a few weeks ago, we didn't even have guidance from the government of, of how schools are going to reopen. So, we're dealing with a lot of this real time. So we're doing what we do. We email, we do PR, we get the word out there to let people know that we are an option. And we believe there's going to be multiple options for them, which is great. We're starting to see it already, that there's going to be other companies either following in our footsteps or us following in their footsteps. It doesn't matter. As long as we give kids these vehicles and these options and optionality during these times to give them some normalcy and physical activity, we will continue to get it out there. And it's going to be word of mouth as well. Like, the more kids that we get, the more parents that trust us, as they've trusted our brand over the last 20 years, let them tell their friends and their friends' friends, because everybody is in these social circles right now. And we got to keep them tight, and we got to keep it. We got to continue to keep it viral in a good way in terms of how we get the message out there.
Now, you have been very active on social media, getting the word out, and you have a good audience. How are you growing that audience? How are you? You had some established market presence in Philadelphia, Boston, New York, I believe Chicago, and Los Angeles. How are you expanding that presence so that people in other cities that may not have had the opportunity to physically go into your training locations and your coaching locations are now getting the word that I have this option to me if I'm in Columbus, Ohio, or if I have this option in Medford, Oregon, or something like that?
Yeah, listen, it's a really excellent question. And we talk about the challenges of the pandemic, but it's really forced certain businesses, and certainly ours, to do things differently. I think we always wanted to have a voice in a position within social media, and really struggled to figure out how do we do it as this young soccer brand, or younger age targeted soccer brand. We're marketing to kids, to parents, and we've really found our voice, and a lot of it has been through content. So we're promoting a lot of our content. We do live streams for free through our Facebook channel. They're much shorter lesson plans, but to give parents a taste and understanding of the coaches, the curriculum, what we're really offering. And then to your point, we're really using social media. We're using YouTube. We're using Instagram. We're using all these platforms of Facebook, We're using all these platforms to push our brand nationally. And with virtual, we always said we wanted to hit 1 million kids. And our mind was always, well, it's in the physical locations that we're in the 13 state, 24 markets. But now we have a national platform. I mean, we had kids just last week that were taking a virtual camp with us in Kenya.
Wow.
We've had them in Ukraine. We've had them all over the place. And
Isn't that
sometimes they're
exciting?
kids that have been in our programs here in the U.S. and they've gone international and want to continue to do it. Or sometimes we don't always know. Sometimes the World Wide Web is that expansive that we're opening ourselves up to international exposure that we weren't aware of. And so it's really allowing us primarily to be national in a way that we never could and never even thought imaginable. And as consumer behavior has really been accelerated, you hear various points of whether it's 5 years or 10 years, we know that now it's now acceptable to take a class or teach a class over Zoom.
Right.
So the more we can hone in our skills and our ability to do that, the more people we can reach and have an impact on.
Isn't that wild? I mean, I know I've experienced that somewhat in my business. I'm encountering more people internationally than I had before, and I'm doing a lot of work through LinkedIn to reach out to people and introduce myself to people. But I think too, as you said, having that international opportunity all of a sudden makes you realize, boy, we really can do this, and you might get to where you want to go faster than if you had continued in your original model.
No question. There's definitely an accelerant in terms of going global. Listen, I think like anything, start small. If we can go even to neighboring states in territories that we weren't operating in, and we can successfully start to build out, maybe we'll start to operate in those states, or maybe we'll just continue to be virtual and we'll be able to have this offering. You know, it'll be really interesting come winter when a lot of kids either opt to stay indoors or, you know, again, we don't know what's going to happen over the next 6 to 12 months. It's really anybody's guess. And you know, having this optionality and this ability to run these virtual classes in a way that's engaging and fun for kids, and they can have some continuity between when they feel safe to be outdoors or they want to be indoors, whatever it may be. You know, we're really happy to have that ability to have worked on it in spring and be able to continue. And it's going to change our business forever.
Yeah, that's true. Now, where do you see next year with what you've experienced? And as you said, you're reacting day to day in real time to what's going on. Are you optimistic about 2021 as far as where we're going to be company-wise? How about the growth of soccer as a youth sport? Does that continue to be an opportunity for people? Is that something that's going to continue to grow, or do you see a kind of a contraction in place?
Yeah, listen, you know, if we're fortunate and you know, we all get whatever news outlet that we can, you know, our anticipation is that our business is back to where we were prior, hopefully pre-COVID, by fall of 21. That's what we're anticipating. Anything better than that would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Realistically, we hope that that's our realistic scenario that we can get to. I think what's very encouraging is, you know, through kind of the fits and starts of openings and closings or reopenings or phases, whatever they may be, is that the sport is here to stay. Physical activity is not going anywhere.
Right.
So as much as consumer behavior will change through this pandemic, what we do know is that kids will continue to be active in sports. And I believe that the sooner they can get out there, there will be a huge resurgence in physical activity. Parents are going to really want to get them back out there in a safe way, but in a big way. And I think we're going to see a very, very fast recovery for our youth sports business, because parents know, we all know how important it is to kids. And kids are going to want to get back out there. They're going to see their teammates, and hopefully we can get them engaged in a way that we've not been able to do before, because more kids will want to get back involved in sports. So hopefully we'll see either, listen, if it was flat, that would be phenomenal. But I think there's going to be some real growth. And so we're pretty excited about what the future holds when we can get past the challenging pieces ahead of us.
Well, thank you, Adam, for telling us about Super Soccer Stars. Where can the viewers go to get more information? Can they go directly to supersoccerstars.com?
Supersoccerstars.com. Everything's there. It's a great website. Search, find your classes, find your camps. If you can't, contact us. We will get you into whatever class is right for you or camp is right for you. We appreciate everybody's support of this business for the last 20 years, and we're excited about what the next 20 years gives us.
Well, thank you, Adam. I really appreciate your time today, and I congratulate you on what looks to be a very successful pivot into this new world we're in, all of us together. Thank you for being my guest today. If you need further information about Super Soccer Stars, supersoccerstars.com. If you have a problem finding that, you can reach out to me, Jim DeLorenzo, jim@jhdenterprises.com. My phone number is 215-266-5943. I encourage you to contact me with any questions, comments, or concerns. I'll be happy to hear your story. And look forward to seeing you all again here very, very soon. Thanks for joining us today.